Okay, so we're being asked to sketch x squared minus 2x minus 3. Okay, so there are 5 steps that we're going to follow here. 5 main steps. The first one is we're going to find the axis of symmetry. And then we're going to identify the nature of the curve. Does it curve up? Does it curve down? Does it open up or open down? Okay, what do we mean by that? Does it open up or does it open down? And as far as its vertex is concerned, does it have a minimum value or a maximum value? We're going to be able to identify those things. Then we're going to construct the axis of symmetry. We're going to construct that. And then we're going to create a grid of what we call near points. We're going to sketch and label, right? So let's go. So f of x is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. So we know our standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. And this comes in handy right here because your axis of symmetry is given by minus b over 2a. And so this is a minus times b, which is right here, the coefficient of x, a minus 2. Divided by 2 multiplied by a. Now in this case, we don't see a number in front of x squared, but a number is there. And that number is 1. Okay, so this is 2 times 1. Right, this is 2 times 1. So that gives us minus a minus 2 is a positive 2. Divided by 2 times 1 is 2, is equal to 1. Hence, our axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1. This is our axis of symmetry. Now, what does that mean? That means, and this is just a sketch right here. Why? If this is 1, this line right here is going to divide my parabola in 2. Hence, it's my axis of symmetry. Right? X is equal to 1 is my axis of symmetry. Okay. All right, let's proceed. What's our next step? Our next step is to find the nature of the curve. Is it going to grow up or is it going to grow down? So on here, is this thing going to look something like this? Or is it going to look something like this? See, one opens up and one opens down. How can we tell? All right. So let's get back to what we're looking at. So f of x is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. A is 1. If a is greater than 0, if a is greater than 0, meaning it's positive, right? Then your parabola opens up. Now, what does that mean? It opens up. It means that this value right here, at this point, which is called the vertex, is a minimum value. All the other values will be greater. If it's here, it's greater because it's higher. So this is a minimum value. So it opens up and we have a minimum value. We can tell those things by looking at A. If A is less than 0, this thing opens downwards. And you have a max value. So it then opens up like this. Hence, this value right here, the vertex, is a maximum. All the other points are below it. Hence, this is the highest possible point, the maximum value. All right? So what are we going to do now? Our third step, accordingly, was to construct number 1, which is the axis of symmetry. Very good. Let's do that right quick. So here we go. We come with our axis of symmetry. Let's try to get you a straight line here. All right. So I know that right here, it's my y-axis, right here is my x-axis, and I'm going to say, let's call this point right here 1. All right, so I'm going to construct this axis of symmetry right here. And this is a virtual line, okay? This is a virtual line. let's pretend that that went directly to that point. All right, so I'm going to label that x is equal to 1. So this point right here is 1. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a grid. So what am I looking at now? Let's not forget our problem. F of x is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now, what do we know? What do we know? We know the axis of symmetry exists at x is equal to 1. So what we want to do now is you want to create a grid, an xy grid. What are you talking about? Okay, so I have x and I have y values, right? And I want to create some values. I want to create some values. Now I know that x is equal to 1 is going to be my middle value. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over 1, 2 points, and then I'm going to come over 2 points. But I'm going to start here. I'm going to start right here. Why? Because this is the middle. So now I'm looking for what happens when x is 0 and when x is -1, or when x is 2, when x is 3. These are friendly numbers because they're close by, okay? So I can plot them. But how do I find that? Well, first of all, I got to go and find f of 1. That's how I find the value that goes in here. What's f of 1? It means I'm going to take this right here and plug in 1 wherever I see x. Okay. Now, if I do that, I'm going to get -4. What I'm going to get here is -4. Right here, I'm going to get -3, -3, and 0 and 0. Okay. So where I have 1, I'm going to have -4. So let's just say this is -1, -2, -3, -4. So 1 minus 4 is on this line. It's on this curve. What about 2? So this is 2 right here. 2 minus 3. So -3 is about here. What about at 3? Okay. What about at 3? 3, I get 0. It's right here. This is 3, 0. This point is 3, 0. Okay. What about 0? At 0, when x is 0, y is -3, which is right here. Which makes sense because it's on par with this one. And so when x is at -1, y is 0. So now what you're going to realize is that this sketch comes something like this. And you're going to realize that this line, not the y-axis, this line is the axis of symmetry. This splits it in half, okay? So of course, now what I have to do is I have to come here and label this after I sketch it. Y, or f of x, is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 3, right? And so that's how we sketch it, okay? So you will notice that there are some things that were assumed here, right? We assume that you know how to find f of all of these, right? So you do f of 1, you have to do f of 2, you have to do f of 3. And so you get these values. You have to do f of 0, do f of -1, right? We made an assumption. Also made the assumption, you know what the axis of symmetry is, what it does, and so forth. All right. And we made the assumption, you know, how to construct x is equal to 1. No such assumptions are made in the full course. Find a way to get into our full course, all right? But for now, this is where we're going to stop. This is how we solve this problem.